Hello everyone. Let's start some sculpting today. I'm Maxon. I'm what the fuck? I'm Daisuke from Maxon, and I hope you guys can enjoy my sculpting. And like last week, from the 2 weeks before, I've modified the character to have a bit more a punkiness because she's supposed to be a thief, but she doesn't really look like it. So I had the kind of like eye patches and added ribbons, but making it a bit cute and at the same time more kind of like a punkish character, I guess. So let me go to the designs. I'm gonna make the boots for this week. Well, more like I think it's more a pumps, I guess. I don't think the boot would fit the character. I can make it asymmetric, so I can show you the creation of the boot, and at the same time I can make the designs for the pumps as well. Like, so depends on what you want, but yeah, I guess maybe asymmetric would be interesting. Okay, so I'm gonna make boots, for example. So I have a mesh right here, which is a socks, but the socks was made from the legs, so I'm just gonna use the extract features to get the mask off the socks. So I have something that I can start from. Let's do something like this. And I'm gonna do the small shoes on the other side, and one should be the boots. And let's see. I'm gonna use the extract feature. You don't need any thickness. Extract, accept, boom, done. And what I'm gonna use is the deformations inflate. And if I have a bit more grayish, light grayish, or I think it's a bit more leathery color, so I guess more on this side. Maybe a bit more brighter. Something like this, right? Maybe a bit more darker. A bit more lighter. Yeah, you can go back and forth between the colors if you don't really have the complex colors. Or you can go to the poly paint and adjust colors, and you can see from this you can adjust the color, the hues, the intensity, and the contrast if you like to change those. But for now it should be fine. So I'm going to use this as a base. I'm going to close off the top. So modify topology. The close holes. There it is. And I'm going to start sculpting some designs. And currently it's hard to see designs. I'm not going to need the colors. So I'm going to delete the colors for now. And I'm going to change the material so I can look at it easily. And I'm going to sculpt using the DAM standard. So I'm going to sculpt something like this. This. Oh, I didn't really collect any boot images, so I'm gonna roughly do the collection right now. I do have a collection of images on the hard drive, so I'm gonna just look up that. So I'm just gonna do some rough designs. It's currently just a rough design, so I can just go ahead and do some rough things on it. Like if you are like working on a specific designs, you can do more carefully. But I don't really have a specific design in mind, so I'm gonna just go ahead and like, design something. I'm not gonna plan to make some like cowboy boots, but it's more like a military boots kind of like looking stuff. I tend to make my characters wear boots for some reason, but I don't know why. Okay, something like this, and I want to have a really thick heel. So for the heels, I should go ahead and split them. But for now, it's just a design process, so I'm not going to mind making something roughly. Snake hook. And I can do the same for this side. Also, if you're like working on some shoes, it's usually better to have some cylinders or some plane, so you can check the balance between the actual like ground. So if you have a ground, you can tweak the boots slightly. So it touches the ground a bit more nicely. Something like this. Currently it's just a rough, so no need to mind. if you're working on a rough design and if you want to polish it back like much more than the normal, you can switch the smooth setting to strong. So if you go to the smooth brush mode, and weighted smooth mode would be 1, and then it'll be much stronger than the normal version. I tend to do this too much, and I just like to destroy my details. Can you guys hear me fine? I don't see any complaints, but I'm a bit worried when nobody's replying or nobody's commenting. I had a couple of issues with the last stream I did, where I wasn't able to see the comments except for Twitch, which was a bit weird because we already have a setup for those kind of multi-channel commenting. And since this is a bit diagonal, so I'm gonna slide the shape a bit. Something like this. Oh, get in the comments. Beautiful voice, thanks. Ooh. I have a question. Do you have to have a sculpt background in order to use ZBrush? Like, it's better if you have it, but it's not mandatory. It's not like 0 or 1. If you don't have it, you can start from scratch. If you have it, you can work on that as well. So it works both ways. But for example, having an artistic background like drawing and some level of 3D sculpt, 3D background would be very helpful, but it's not mandatory. I didn't have any true 3D backgrounds, but I'm working fine. I know a lot of like technical stuff, so like I learned my way through, and also I did do some like traditional sculpting, but like I didn't do any like one-to-one classes on like figurine sculpting, for example. So yeah, nobody taught me, to be honest. Like, so it depends on how willing you are to like starting, and like how much you enjoy sculpting. So it really doesn't matter. So like if I get the like questions like that, I always answer that it doesn't really matter. Like I see a lot of people who start to just like sculpting just for like 2 months, and since they had a art background, like for example they were doing some like oil painting, for example, they got really good at the software just in like 2 months. That's one example. Like people who can draw already just need to focus on the sculpting aspects, so they can just learn the software much more quicker than they used to. So it depends, basically, but it's just how willing you are to like spend time and learn things. You can start from, for example, if you can like download ZBrush Core Mini, you can start free, and then if you have fun using that application, you can switch to ZBrush Core, which is a cheaper version of ZBrush. Less features, but you can basically do a lot of things. Like for example, I made a character just by using ZBrush Core. And then if you're more into sculpting after like doing those, you can switch to ZBrush as well. Since we have a bit of a stretch, I can switch to Dynamesh. Five 12. No blur. Dynamesh. Yep, fine. Do you use Substance Painter? No. Like for my usage, like I'm basically like use it for like 3D printing purposes. I don't really need the texturing, so for me, like I don't really need the painting application. But sometimes, like if I totally need to do it for my like requirements, then yeah. But most of the industry people are using like a dedicated painting software like Substance Painter, Mari, Body Paint, stuff like those. All I want to figure out is how I can move my FF14 from FF14 to VR chat. Huh. I don't really support the aspect of like ripping datas, but there are people who are making like their own FF14 characters in ZBrush, by like sculpting from scratch. It's very nice to see those. Also, the Final Fantasy team is using ZBrush as well. Like, they used it for 11, they used it for 14 as well, and 13 as well. So most of the Square Enix software is using ZBrush, which is very nice to see. Haven't had a conversation in a while, so I think I better reach out to them. Say hi for a while. Yeah, you gotta just like get used to it. It's not that hard. Okay, so I made the base mesh, and let's see. This boots would need a zipper on the side, so she can wear like take the boots off at least. So I'm gonna sculpt that portion. Something like this. Like, I usually say that, like, if you're avoiding something, like for example, if you're avoiding to draw hands, like if you're learning stuff, like if you avoid some specific items, it's gonna make you take more time to learn that stuff. So usually it's better to just put your hand to it and then like work on it. I think it's better to push this a bit more front, a bit more forward. When do you implement a different subtool versus different, building straight out from the base? For example, making the zipper a different subtool versus making the zipper on the boot itself. Depends on the like the process. For example, I'm just like making the building blocks of like the boots, so I just want to focus on the designs, right? So I'm not really working on like details, or I'm not working on like some like the other side of the boots or the rubber itself, right? So I'm just like roughly getting the shapes done. But if I split it, I need to work on two different subtools. Then that's just a additional like subtool I need to care about, right? So currently I don't want to work with two subtools. I just need to work on one subtool, and then if I want to change the designs again, like for example, if I go back to this position and then if I click Control click, and then if I want this flat design back, I can do that by using the history recall, like so. Like I can put the design back if I want to. So like I can get the zippers removed. So this is the benefit of like having it in one subtool. So I can just go ahead in the design. If I don't like it, I can just remove it. But if I have a separate tool, I can focus individually on the subtools. So it depends on like where you are with the designs. So if I'm done with the designs, if I just need to focus on the designs itself and like adding more like details, then that's fine. I can switch to individual subtools. But currently I want to like focus more on the actual like boot designs and not on the zippers. I just need to put some placements and then I'm done. So that's the benefit. Well, talking about the 3D data aspect, like I don't really understand why people just hand out the 3D data freely without the artist's permissions, and they usually change the data totally, like as they own something, but they don't really own the thing. So I don't know why they do that. Like it's very odd. Like they don't draw over people's like pictures and call it their work, but for some reason 3D is totally fine to do that. For some people, I don't get it. One of the reasons I don't really hand out like 3D data is that like people don't really care where the data came from. So like it's very sad to see this. yeah, if it's like if it's using other people's concepts, then yeah, it's better to link the original like artists, like at least put a name from the concept artists. It's more better if you ask the like permission to use the concept art based on like that specific artwork first before you create it. I saw a couple of like artists who were making like a character based on some like games, and because it was not really a popular game in the West, like some people were like calling them like they're like as if they were the original art of them, and like some of them I noticed, and like sometimes I called out for them, but didn't really receive it well. So one example was an artist who was making a character from the what was it Dolls Frontline, and one character was a UMP-45, which is holding a submachine gun basically, but she was holding a M4 for some reason. So she was named UMP-45, but she was holding a M4 because the person who didn't like person who was like making that specific artwork didn't know it was the character name matching the gun she's holding. So I saw that one case, and like he didn't really put any like mention of the concept art or either any like mention of the game itself. Let me tweak some standard brush so it's suited for the folds. I think it's better to just have a bit more focal shift. Yeah, something like this. And switch the weighted smooth mode to 4. Let's see what we can get. I guess because it's a bit more harder material that I'm gonna try to replicate, I don't really need this amount of like bumps, so I'm gonna smooth the bit out by using the SK clay fill, which is a brush from Sakaki Kaoru. You can search the name and then get some brushes. Hey, welcome. Like when you're working on boots and if you're confused about where the folds should go, it's usually just focus on the heel area because there's a bit of like a change in the surface. But other than that, you don't really have any like folds that much, unless if you go to the front side, you get a bit more complexity. Hey, welcome. Just sculpting some boots. Maybe doing too much. I need to smooth some out. Fine, as usual. Happy to be able to sculpt. Like I was busy doing other things like marketing. Okay, let's see if I can improve this by using the normal smooth. Hey, welcome. I don't know why, but like sculpting boots is like really like comfortable. Something very nice. Yeah, thanks. Well, nothing special, but like for example, I'm taking a less and taking a bit of a diet, so I'm taking less carbohydrates. I already lost like 2.4 kilograms already, which is not bad, like 6 pounds. I wish I could just like sculpt my like face and then like make it more thin using snake hook, but doesn't work like that. And like because I'm taking a less like sugar and carbohydrates, like I feel much better. Like it doesn't make me too sleepy. Like I tend to like over like I tend to take less sleep. Like for example, my sleep hours are like 4 to 6 hours average, and like sometimes like the entire week is just like 4 hours for the sleep. And like because of that, like I tend to eat more calories. So like I don't know why, but like if you're tired, the body asks you for more calories and makes you a bit more chubby. So like I stopped like having to like take a lot of like calories, just like focusing on a normal diet. So I was joking to my friends who were doing sculpting, saying that like the best way to improve your sculpting is to be healthy. Like you can beat your rivals if you're healthy. Okay, so I'm gonna separate the rubber part and then make it a bit more like easy to edit. How to model the missile smokes that you modeled for her. I showed on the stream, but for example, I just added a sphere. Like this. And then I just use the snake hook. something like this. And I just use the inflate brush. And Dynamesh. And just went through and sculpted a couple of things. It's better to have some kind of like flow to it, and you can also use the clay build-up brush to actually get some chunks. And you can also use the IMM primitives, like the spheres. And you can move this around and then connect it. Yeah, so you can use the combination of features and then get something interesting. Yeah. Nothing complex. It's very simple. Okay, back to the boots. I'm gonna separate the rubber. So I'm gonna make the polygroup a single polygroup, and then I'm gonna use lasso to cut this area. And I have one polygroup, and then I just need another polygroup. If it's hard to see, just like remove the lines a bit. Yeah, like you can see from the thumbnail that like when the smoke is added, then like it's that stream specifically that I did the change. So you can check that out. I'm gonna use the transpose smart to get something smart. So I can isolate this, and I don't need a top portion, I don't need the bottom portion. I just need the areas from the front separated from the sides. So I'm just gonna use the lasso, I guess. Lasso to roughly cut out the areas like so. And using the mask pen to just draw some straight lines. Oop. Yep, something like this, and I'm gonna make this a separate polygroup. So yeah, we have a couple of polygroups, and I don't think we need the top portion for now. I'm gonna add thickness later on. So let's delete this and split polygroups. And I'm gonna use this as a base. So let's retopologize this. Before we retopologize, we're gonna set the use undo history and 0.5 zero match. Hello, welcome. Oh, because I was making the smoke, now the thumbnail, like I just switched to YouTube and the thumbnail is like the white smoke coming off her head. Oh no. Yeah, I think it's better to just like eliminate this portion right now. And then do the retopology. So it becomes a bit more easy to actually get the shapes. I think it's due to the smoothness of the... Yeah, it should be fine. Okay, yeah, it's better now. And then I'm gonna project the details from the original undo data. So since I selected the portion of the undo history with control click, I'm gonna use the subtool project history and divide, project history, divide, project history, divide. Yeah, so something like this. And because I have this, I'm gonna I think I can just like recreate this portion by just like adding a different kind of like mesh. I think just adding a sphere and then elongating with snake hook and then just taking off the side would be very easy to get. I just need a sphere like this. And snake hook. How to handle client demands for a lot of details in micro projects. Just kidding, tips will be helpful. I don't know. Well, like for example, if your client is asking for a lot of things that you didn't really expect at the end of the project, it's better to have a good conversation before you start the project. And usually it's just a miscommunication between the clients. Like clients have a specific like expectations, but like they didn't really tell you that, and then you have a lot of like demands after the rough design is passed, and now because they have the designs in their hands, like they want certain specific stuff to be on the design, but like they should be like told beforehand. You know what I mean? But that's because like they wanted certain items, but they didn't really communicate well with the artist. Like they don't really have the visions, right? So that's pretty like common thing that would happen if you don't really communicate well. Okay, so I'm just gonna use this kind of like rough shape because it's better than just the mesh I splitted. So I'm gonna delete hidden, polish by features, and see what I can adjust. Also, it's usually better to have a bit of thickness. So I'm gonna add thickness. Like this. Without any offsets. And apply. Can you please tell me what the different colors of cursors in ZBrush and their functions? Violet, red? Oh, for example, red is just a normal brush strokes, and violet would be when you enable the Sculptris Pro, and that will be violet. And if your like cursor is like blue, that means you're enabling smooth. And if you're yellow, like the cursor is yellow, it means control key is pressed. Like for example, the masking would be yellow. Yeah, there's a couple of things like I don't remember the list of like features that would change the colors, but yeah. those are the main things, like yellow, purple, blue, red would be the normal things. And for the rubber, I'm gonna close off this top and use Dynamesh. Oh, Nightbot is like telling you something from yesterday. I need to inform Kyle to update that. I have a hard question: how to be fast in anime figure modeling in ZBrush? Like, I sculpt characters in about like 8 hours or so for one character, but that's only rough designs and like rough posing. So if I want to like make it a bit more polished, like I'm gonna spend more than like 24 hours to actually get that more like specific to what I want. So it depends on how you want your sculpt. If it's just like quick casual sculpting, then yeah, like 8 hours is just fine. It's not hard to get something done quick. Like, you just need to have a clear image of like what you want, and then just understand the quicker way to do things. Like, for example, I just did the rough like boots in a couple like minutes, right? But this is very like an unorthodox way of doing things. Like, it's quick, but it's rough. So if you want really specific like shapes, or if you want specific topology, it's not really good to follow this tutorial. Like, or you don't need to follow my method. Like, you can hand retopologize everything. That's gonna make your mesh clean, but for me that's gonna take ages. So so for example, I think this character, I think I just spent 2 hours stream, and I think this one is like 8 or 7, I guess. Yeah, version 8, I guess. So 8 times 2, 16. And I'm not doing any sculpting outside of the stream for now. So yeah, so less than 20 hours. Oh, no, it's the 6th stream I did, so 12? Any tips on cavity maps? Cavity maps. Have a clean UV and then bake it. Like, if you're only baking it on ZBrush, it depends on your workflow, but like sometimes it's better to use another application that's dedicated for baking. So you can have the mesh from ZBrush, and then bake it onto another software, or bake it with another software. What was your initial inspiration to be an artist? That's an interesting question. Yeah, I think I haven't answered that, to be honest. And one of the reason I started like doing all these like anime sculpts and like making figurines and like making illustrations and novels and stuff, I started because I was fascinated by the anime called Suzumiya Haruhi, and the first season of the anime was very, very nicely done, and because of that, like, I've binge watched the whole show, and I don't know why, but like that made me want to draw something. And like I didn't know how to draw things up to that point. Like I only did some casual like drawings. So that was when I was in high school. Like I didn't know, like I didn't do anything, like basically. Like I went to high school without me knowing what I want to do. And because of that, like I lost my like reason to go to high school. So I was like in my house all day. I didn't go to school for a while, and like yeah, I didn't really go to school for 1 month because like I really felt like devastated, like thinking about like I don't really have anything to do with my life, like basically. Like, and after watching that show, like it made me realize that like I wanted to do something with my life, and like I wanted to like make something, at least. Like I wanted to draw something. So I started tracing the like original like Suzumiya Haruhi's like illustrations, and it taught me a lot. Like it taught me how to like think about lines. Like I wasn't able to like draw anything before that, but after I did some tracing, I did some like my own like line drawing as well, and then I learned how to draw things. And after that, like I think I wanted to draw things after that, and like around that time, like there was a lot of like buzz around like making novels and making games. Like novel games are very popular at that time, and like because of like Suzumiya Haruhi's like getting really popular, that really started the buzz of the light novels. And because of that, like I wanted to make a light novel, I wanted to make a novel game, and I wanted to make some characters from my novel. So that was the reason why I started this. And like after a while, like I chose my like route to become a like an artist. And then after that, like because the like drawing industry is very, very like competitive, like if you throw a stone, and then if that stone hits someone, that's usually just an artist. Like for example, like if you throw it to someone, if that stone hits someone, that's an artist. Like 1 of 3 people who can like in the streets who can draw things. Like if you go to Twitter, like you have a bunch of like really good artists that you don't really know the name of. And if you go to ArtStation, you'll be devastated on how many people are really good at their art, right? So I basically like I thought I wasn't able to like compete in that field, basically. So what I did was I switched to sculpting when I was in university, and I started doing some like garage kits, but I wasn't really popular at that time, so my like garage kit skills were not really good, and like additionally I had a huge like allergic reaction to resins, so I wasn't able to make resin kits, and like I wasn't able to like touch traditional like tools anymore, and I basically gave up on figurines as well after I graduated. But like I spent a lot of like time drawing things, but after like 2 months I had to like find my job basically. Like I wasn't really doing any jobs after my college, and well, after my university, so I was looking for a job that I can do, and like I was playing around with like 3D at that time, and because of that there was a printing company which was looking for a 3D artist, and I applied. And because that like printing company was like just starting up as a 3D department, and like I was able to get a job. So what started me to make art was Suzumiya Haruhi, the animation series. So that's the reason I'm here. It's very tragic what happened to like Kyoto Animations, and yeah, it's very tough for me. But yeah, like there's a couple of like animations that you really get pushed into your like artistic things, but like I don't know why it really like hang on to me for a while. I don't know why it was like that like effective on me. But the artwork was really good. Like I was really surprised with the quality of the animations. Will they be producing animes again? Yeah, they already started like producing animes. They finished the Violet Evergarden's movie while that was happening. For 3D print of for hair lashes, what do you recommend? Making them thick, but usually it's better to not sculpt fur hair lashes, because usually it's better to just use the like cosmetic like fake eyelashes to add them afterwards. But if you are like working on a character, and then if you need specific like eyelashes, it's better to connect them so it has that enough thickness you can work on. Kobayashi-san was a really amazing show of them. Huh. Yeah. Maybe the rubber should be black, but maybe the boots could be red. I don't know why, but like I love red colors. Like, I don't know why. but maybe a bit too dark, so I'm gonna tweak the colors a bit. Maybe this is a bit too dark now? Oh no, it's fine. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna add a bit of a stripe. I should make some like tribute to how the art works, and like because it's the reason I started my art career. I'll make it soon then. I'm lacking time to actually do things, but you know, I'll find time to do it. Usually nobody is interested in my reasoning of like why I started doing this. So yeah, somebody surprisingly asked. Thanks. How can we work on transparent object like saliva and then export it to Photoshop separate layer to enhance? In ZBrush, because it's using BPR to actually like make the transparent, like make it look like a transparent, you can't really have the like the renders separated from like individual like render paths. So what I usually do is that like I add those salivas after on Photoshop side if I need it to be actually transparent, but you can just BPR render it, the whole thing, and then make it transparent by like adding your like Photoshop magic as well. But you can't really like systematically like export the transparent layers in ZBrush. Yeah, we are aware that there's a couple of like limitations, but there's a couple of reasons to it. So I'm gonna make the other sides of the boots. Like, oh, where did it go? Oh, it's not there. Oh. Okay, so here it is. And let's make it white so we can see them. Inflate. And we want this to be... I'm not gonna print her because I don't really have the time to actually split and then prep the 3D prints. It's a boring process and I don't want to spend time on this. Like, sometimes I really want to casually sculpt something without any thought behind it. Like, I don't want to like split every single like work I do. That's gonna take too much time to actually do it. So. I wish there was an automated process where the like if you chuck in a model, you get the parts separated very like easily. I'll pay for that pay for that kind of like program, but luckily it's not really there yet. There's a couple of like interesting like technical papers that do those kind of stuff, but it's not really like applicable to anything yet. So like there's a couple of like limitations on some shapes, and if it gets really complex, it's very hard to actually get it to the right spot you want. So oh yeah, you know. Tool, subtool extract creates a lot of like extra polygroups. Anything wrong am I doing? Extract creates a lot of extra polygroups. Extract doesn't, like, extract itself doesn't really create polygroups. If your mesh already have a polygroup, like for example, if I assign a polygroup here, assign a polygroup here, and then like for example here, and then if I select this area and create a extract from this, like you can see the result from the extract. But if you look at the polygroups, the original polygroups from the model is left over in the extract. So this is the reason why you have extra polygroups. So if you don't want extra polygroups, you can go back to the original mesh and merge it into one, and then you're not gonna have any like extra polygroups. Like for example, if I extract, here's the result, no extra polygroups, right? Simple as that. Also, if you add thickness, it's going to generate a additional polygroup because it has like thickness, and then the other side that has the thickness is going to have a new polygroup set. So if you have 3 polygroups, it's going to like double the number of polygroups and then add the extra like thickness part with a different polygroup. So you're going to have 7, right? 3 times 2 plus 1, 7. Yep, no problem. Oh, if you have any questions related to ZBrush, ZBrush Core, ZBrush Core Mini, let me know. Forgot to say this every time. If it's a question I'm showing on stream, if it's the process that I'm showing right now, it will be really easy for me to answer. So, but if it's not related to the stream, if it's not really a big tangent, I might go there. But generally, you can't really ask me about future related questions, like for example, when is ZBrush gonna add something something. That's not gonna, like, I can't answer those questions because I don't know the future. But like, if you have a specific like feature request, send it to support so we can take a look at it, and like we can track down those kind of like feature requests. But if you're just posting on like Facebook comment sections, we can't really check those kind of stuff. Like, it's gonna be everywhere. Like, we're not gonna look at the individual like Facebook comments and like picking up the features from there, right? It's very hard. Daisuke, what do you think of anime NFT community that is currently attracting a lot of artists to join the space? I'm not really sure about the NFT community aspect. Like, the most of the news coming out from NFT is like very like for me, like, it's my just personal observations. It's a bit scammy. Like some people are using like other people's artwork to make their NFTs. That's a bit shady, you know? I know there's a legit like artists who are doing like NFTs. Like, that's fine, but like the general like non like the people you don't really know, I'm not really sure about. Like it's a cool it's like, first of all, it was really a cool way to earn for your artwork, and like I thought it was a really nice idea as a system, and like it really looks like a really good like way to earn your money for your artwork. But now it's like tainted, in my opinion. Like, so it's, for me, like it's very sad because like artists are not gonna benefit from it. Like, the people who are like investing and like using that as a cash grab would be benefiting from it, but artists, I don't think so. No. I've been having a hard time learning ZBrush. Is it better if I learn ZBrush Core or Mini first? Like, it depends on what you want to do. If you just want to make some like my usual recommendation is not to focus on the features. Like, if you want to make something specific, just try to sculpt it. Like, you can just use Dynamesh and sculpting features. You just need to use 2 features, and then you can make one artwork. Like, for example, I made a boot by just using sculpting, extracting, and retopologizing basically like 3 or 4 features, right? So it's not really complex to do this, but people like tend to use a lot of features because they want to use the features, but like after a certain time, like you don't really like, you just want to get things done, so you're gonna use less features anyways. So usually, like, what I recommend is to like not go too overboard with the features. And like start sculpting would be my recommendations. Yeah, like imagine Photoshop, right? Like you're not gonna use Photoshop's like every single features that exist in Photoshop, right? Like it's better if you know the features, but it's after you did those kind of like initial like Photoshop editing, you go through the like advanced features that only a pro would know or something like that. Like ZBrush has a lot of features because it's been developed for like 21 or 2 years now, so it's been a while. And because of those historical reasons, we have a lot of like buttons, like we have a lot of features, we have a lot of like hidden gem features, but you don't really need to actually force yourself to learn everything. But it's better if you spend time after you did the initial shapes, initial things. Like, oh, can you please tell me something on Tessimate? Tessimate is basically there's a video for it as well. If you go to Ask ZBrush, what is tessimation would be the specific video in mind. There's Tessimate. So first of all, I recommend you watch this, and for Tessimate, it removes and adds. So it's a combination of two words. It's one is decimation, and tessellation would be another word. Tessellation would be adding polygons, and decimation would be like losing, like reducing polygons. And we made up a specific word combining those two called decimate, and that's what it's doing. So it's adding polygons where it needs to, and it's removing the polygons where it doesn't need it. So that's the two words combined. So that's Tessimate. So what it does is basically if you like enable decimate, and then if you slide the polygon size, it's gonna like reduce the amount of polygons existing on the mesh. And because of this like polygon size, like it's trying to make individual polygons to a specific size. So it's like making it uniform as much as possible. So like if you press 1, it's gonna like, it looks basically like the basic like the same kind of like size you'd expect. And like if you enable tessellate as well, and then like slide the size down, it's like really dense now, like it's increasing the poly count, right? So what this is doing right now is basically like using the standard brush and using the like the Sculptors Pro mode and then sculpting with it. It's doing the same thing, right? So if you use smooth, it's like reducing and adding polygons at the same time. So what this is doing is that if you go to strokes and Sculptures Pro, it says like subdivide size 1 and undivide ratio is 1.25. So what this is doing is that like it's basically doing the same thing as like the Tessellate is doing. So this part is very dense, right? But this part is not dense. So it's making the mesh like uniform, and if it's very dense, it's reducing that polygon to be in a specific like uniform size. So this is global. Like on the menu side, it's like doing it onto the entire mesh, right? But like if you use it on the Sculptures Pro mode, it's using that like kind of like density to like be controlled by the brush size and the brush strokes. So this is what it's doing, basically. So like the Sculptures Pro is a localized version of like adding and reducing polygons is what I would say, I guess. But the Tessellate on the right side is global, so it's using it onto an entire mesh. Also, some people don't know that basically Pixelogic invented the word matte caps. I tend to I see a couple of like softwares using the word matte caps, but it's trademarked by Pixelogic, by the way. Matte caps are short for material captures, so it's using an image like baked onto a material to show some like reflections, and like it can like apply some lighting information as well. So those matte caps are like using those kind of like informations to not really like calculate the entirety of like the mesh, so it's a bit quicker that way, is my understanding. Like maybe a firm might have a different kind of like explanation, but it should be the basic understanding. Do you have a stream channel? Yeah. I do have a streaming channel, but it's more personal, and like it's not interesting. Like I don't really talk this much. Like I don't explain things. I just sculpt things. A bit too dense, so I'm gonna use 0.5. Yeah, should be fine. and extrude, no, inflate, and adding thickness. Maybe a bit more thinner, like this. You can try to find my stream channels, but like I'm not promoting my personal channels during my work hours, at least. That's not my goal of the stream. I wonder for the side of the shoes. Usually it's on the right hand side. Oh no, it's on the left side. It's on the outside. Okay. So it should be this one. And let's see if they have some specific designs. Oh, I thought it was like talking about making some boots. Now I'm making some the typical like shoes. Maybe this is cute, like better, I guess. Okay, let's make some metal parts. Usually what I do with metal parts is I like to edit those kind of like shapes with polygons and then attach a curved tube like this. And let's just use this, delete hidden, and polish features and adjust slightly the thickness so it's not really like loose. Like if you have a bit more resolution on this, it's not gonna shrink like this, but I'm a lazy boy, so I'm gonna just use snake hook to actually adjust this. Okay, so I'm gonna use this as a metal hoop. And change this to a buckle. Let me think about some directions. It should be this side, right? Yeah. And let's add some spheres. Which is better, tablet Cintiq or Intuos Pro L? That kind of like depends on what kind of like preference or the budget you have. Like if you don't really have a limitation of the budget, like you can buy anything, right? By the way, I prefer to buy a Cintiq because from my experience, like having a monitor that you can sculpt on is very like quick and easy to do. Like if you get the hang of it, like you can save a lot of time not doing the undos on the strokes. But it really depends on what kind of like usage, what kind of like budget, what kind of like preference you have. Do you have any experience with the screen tablets, or do you prefer to do the pen tablet, the without the without the display, or yeah, it really depends. But yeah, like for example, I don't really regret anything buying a pen tablet or the screen tablets. Like it's usually the bigger the better. Like bigger screens makes it easier to sculpt and easier to see. I was using a smaller screen, like for example I was using a 13 inch screen, and it was very small for me, and like I was having to have some like back aches, so because of that, like I decided to buy a bigger screen just because of that, and like it was like worth it. Like for me it's priceless. Like people tend to talk about prices a lot, but like if you compare the cost of like medical bills versus medical, like for example, if you're having a back pain and then if you need to pay for that, it's gonna be expensive, right? So for me, like it wasn't a big deal for me, and I use this every day, and so like why make it painful to just save a couple of like, well, a couple of $100 or a couple of dollars. Yeah, and also like for example, I don't really like budget stuff. Like they call me privileged or something like that, but like for example, I don't want to buy something cheap because it's cheap, right? And like if it's what you can afford, that's totally fine. Like if that's the only thing you can afford, that's very fine. But if you can afford a bit more higher end thing, and that thing is a bit more expensive than your budget, it's usually better to save that budget and then spend it later on, or buy the budget now and then move on to a better equipment. So when I see people on the internet saying that, oh, I love this budget thing, it's nothing is better than this, or it's not worth buying the expensive something, and like you don't need to be a fanboy of a specific like specific cheap product, right? Like it's cheap for a reason. Like I'm like I've used several pen tablets, like, but from my experience, the expensive the pen tablet is, like, it's usually the better. Um like I prefer to use this Cintiq 24 because it's very handy for me. Like I'm not showing off or anything. Like I don't really regret my choices, and like for my chairs as well. Like this chair is a bit expensive, and like it cost me around $1,000. Like I think more than $1,000 for this chair that I sit every day for like more than 16 hours sometimes. And like I can't really sit on other chairs now. Like it makes my back pain a lot, and like it's very worth it. Like I would only show loyalty to that degree if the company in question is giving me all the goods for free. By the way, this like Cintiq, I didn't get it for free. Like I didn't get any discounts. Like I talked to a salesperson and he didn't even give me a discount. So like no, I'm satisfied. Like I'm using Wacom Intuos Pro. My sensitivity is very high. Do you know how can I fix it? If you go to the Wacom Pen Tablet properties, you have a setting like this. This is in Japanese, obviously. I'm in Japanese. You can change the settings here, and then you can change the hard or soft. And then if this doesn't do it for you, you can change the parameters by going into customize. So you can change from this, and you can also change it from the brush setting from ZBrush as well. So if you go to tablet pressure, and then it has the use global setting. The global setting is here. If you go to tablet, and then you have Z sensitivity, size sensitivity, lazy pressure, and you can switch the tablet driver APIs as well. So you can you can change all these settings if you want. Like, yeah, if I like the product, I'm not gonna say I don't like it. Like for example, if I like a specific anime, I'm not gonna get paid for showing loyalty to that anime. If the anime sucks, it sucks. I'll be honest. Thanks. Yeah. How can I look at your works? I do have a Instagram where I post my works. I'm not gonna promote my Instagrams, but usually I post it here, so you can see a lot of like artworks that I usually do, including the works from my stream. Oh, it's nearly the end of my stream. Okay, so I'm gonna soon end my stream here. Before I forget, I want to add something so I don't forget, which is a band on the end of the belt. I would like to ask, how do you do anime eyes? Do you append a new sphere and paint over pupils and iris? I think I talk about this every time, but like if you look at the model I make, it's just a flat, basic, a plane that I add. But this is because like when I print my models, like I don't really need the actual geometry when I'm printing, right? So usually what I do is that like I make some like round, curvy, like flat plane over here, and then add the separate subtool or a separate plane on that, so it has a different like different density. So I don't need to like increase my poly count on the face if I want to like add more details on the eyes, right? By the way, I'm not really a fanboy of anything, to be honest. Like, oh, I'm a fanboy of ZBrush. Yeah, I usually say what I don't like about the project if I bought it myself, especially. Like, for example, if I don't like my chairs, like, like, I'm really satisfied with the chairs. I don't really have anything to say about it. So yeah, that's the reason why. Like, if I have something to say, I would say it. Like, for example, the Cintiq 24. The only thing I regret is the stands. Like, the ergo stands is nice, but like it doesn't really have any like other like places that you can like angle or position. So that's the thing that I regret. But that's the only thing I regret. Like the cable management, it's nice. Like the pen feeling is nice. The I don't really have any issue with the displays. Oh, another thing would be like there's a button on the right side on the top, and like if I'm wiping the screen, like I accidentally press on the button, and that makes like the properties pop up. That's annoying as hell, but that's basically it. Like I don't really have anything else. Do you work with Sketch or do you imagine? For this one, I'm like just sculpting and thinking about it. Oh, I should add this. I'm adding this. Is my process. Like I'm looking at references, but like I'm trying to combine and come up with some like originality on the characters. Like by the way, this is what I'm looking at as a concept, like the reference. Like there's a lot of like golf club was my weapon of choice, but I didn't really do it. But like I'm looking at like rogue and like thinking about any poses that I can introduce this character. But I have a lot of like other like photo designs like boots and like shoes, skirts and stuff. But you don't really see any like bandages or like bunny ears, I guess. Okay, so I'm gonna end my stream here. Hope you had fun. I'm gonna add a bit of like sculpting on the socks next week. Oh, the next week. And I think I'll be done with this model after that. Okay, so thank you for watching. I'll just render this with some BPR rendering and that'll be it. Shadows 0.4. Lighting. Yeah, should be fine. Oh. Maybe better with some additional rays. 64. Angle 15. Okay. So, see you guys. Bye.